start week 6 with another development of the elbow, the diagonal elbow. We'll start to observe across the following months just how many incredible weapons have evolved and continue to develop out of the pensador. And it will start to confirm that the pensador is truly one of the greatest revolutions of modern urban combat. We can see quite clearly now just how important good mechanics really are, as without this dynamic loading of the body, it's impossible to deliver a ballistic power. Simple things become extremely dangerous when executed correctly. This is an old philosophy, but one that stands very true. We enter in the trapping now and look at the basic head trap, the cortamanga. This is one of the basic street traps, but has a strong feel to it. We prime or set the cortamanga up with a pence attack in this example. Once trapped, we fire a simple elbow, which we will see applied shortly. We use a simple box pattern here to train the diagonal elbow. Watcher's Husto really exploits the mechanics in order to catch the power. This simple elbow is radical, as we have said once or twice before, and the elbow is definitely one of my favourite weapons because it really does have so much to offer, and it's truly a multi-dimensional urban street weapon. We can see that the true connection between the punch and the elbow is pretty dynamic. And as we start building these simple development processes, we will start to see and appreciate just how naturally everything really starts to flow from the pensador. Yet again, we should be able to see that if we're going to smash and enter, then the simple punch and elbow combination is a serious contender, especially when we are learning to cultivate a radical and somewhat animalistic mindset. Now in this clip, you look how Husto uses the pence attack to connect. He then uses the cortamanga and finally the pensacodo. Cortamanga is a simple trap, but an effective one. It enables us to seek a little more protection whilst firing the elbow. Now we bring the pensa pugno 6 back into play, in order to develop the ability within the elbow further. You look how Greg receives the basic punch, and then fires one by one the pugno 6 with a diagonal elbow. Being able to fire the elbow in combination with a punch from any angle quite clearly has many advantages. Advantages that we are all looking to exploit. We continue on with our level development and cultivating of one of the more primal instincts, getting back to our feet. By continually training from the knees or sitting, we become very familiar with all the problems associated with these areas. But in contrast, we will quickly start to find ways of coping with these problems as well. This newfound ability will be a direct consequence of time-served investigation. You look how Greg needs to develop his basic attributes in all areas, We need to have the same level of ability no matter where we are in the fight. The process of step-by-step learning is the only way to truly understand anything in its entirety. It would be great if we all just watched a thing and immediately understood it and had the ability to execute whatever it be perfectly. But it's just not the reality. We need to understand each piece of the jigsaw if we want to see the full picture clearly. If we watch carefully, we can see how the kata manga developed naturally as a consequence of the Pence attack. Most of the major developments within the KFM are the reflection of experience and not just an invention. We found that once we had entered into close quarters by means of the Pence attack, one of the basic instinctive reactions fell right into place. As with all the creative developments in the KFM, once we had evolved an answer to a problem, we took it into the KFM laboratory. This basically meant that we would play around with the answer that we had found and try to create more problems in order to unveil any other weaknesses in the answers that we'd found first time round. I think it's safe to say that if you have arrived this far in the training, that you understand the value of ability versus collecting techniques. We all want that monster ability, but there are no secrets, and in truth we all know that. So how do we really develop the predator within, and what really gives us the edge over others? Well, if we think about it, it's pure common sense. All animals have great powers of observation. It's how they stay alive. If we adopt this simple yet profound ability, it will lead us to study and train what is really needed, as we will know exactly what it is we're trying to achieve. Clarity and being extremely clear about what it is we really need to be focusing on is the key. It will save us so much lost time, which as we all know can never be replaced. Each day we lose by spending time in the wrong place means we take one step backwards and not forwards. And how do we regain that lost time? Well, in truth we don't. We arrive back at the first point: clarity and focus. The process of developing true ability is a tough one. Nothing in life is for free. We all want to be the ultimate warrior, but it comes with a price, and that price is blood, sweat and tears, coupled with frustration and anxiety. The people with real clarity, vision, talent, ability, dedication, passion, perseverance and heart usually come out on top. Basically reflecting what we've just said, nothing is for free. And if you think it is, then you'll be going home very disappointed. Each week that we add a new piece to the jigsaw, the picture becomes a little clearer. And even if we can see or understand what that picture may be before we actually have all the pieces in place, the full picture will remain incomplete till we lay the last piece. Accumulation of movement and connections is our constant challenge. I hear all the time words like, "Yeah, we do that," or "been doing that for 20 years, mate." These are the words of a typical know-it-all, and there are plenty around. But the journey is about learning and constant growth, not "yeah, I already know everything." This is a surefire way of making sure we never develop one step further ever again. Channeling all of our energy into constructive learning will help us to achieve our personal goals, as difficult as that may be. The world of urban combat in truth is very scary. If we watch any of the programmes on TV which show CCTV footage of street crimes or violent attacks, it's far from glamorous. Most victims are caught totally unaware and completely off guard. The shock kicks in and the situation becomes far from resolvable, and the victims, if very lucky, escape with a life. The after effects for many of these people lasts a lifetime, not a game by any means. The really good part about the Predator exercises is that you can never become complacent, as to do so means you will receive a lot. This is a thing we found problematic when studying and investigating other arts. The fact that many of the drills lost their meaning, and in the end the people who had been training the drills longer developed a superiority complex, which is totally false and in no way reflects the attitude needed in the street. So many people speak very intelligent words as regards to the street, but the failing comes when the training starts. Many of these people who preach and teach about how the street functions have had little, if any, true experience out there. The street teaches you many lessons very quickly. The first thing you learn is you know nothing about anything or anybody. So we need to be careful, very, very careful. Thinking that we know it all, or carrying a complacent and egotistical attitude, will get us into more trouble than we can even imagine. Trouble that once started won't stop till somebody's in a critical way. You observe how many times Greg gets hit. Even when the exercise is relatively slow, he still receives a lot. This acknowledgement on Greg's part helps him to keep a real perspective on the reality of two or more opponents. You just imagine if the focus pads were knives. Now what's the answer? Now what's the reality? Do we think we can afford to be complacent? If we keep these things in mind, even when we are isolating a thing or training at mid-tempo, it will always keep us focused and means we will give real value as to what we are trying to achieve. I can remember a situation that happened to me many moons ago when I was young and thought I was Tommy Rock. I was sat in a pub one night with a group of friends, and there was this one guy who was leaning on the back of a chair where a girl who just happened to be with us was sitting. I said, "You got a problem, mate?" He looked at me and said, "No, but you've got a problem." To which I replied, "No, you've got a problem, mate." He then replied, "You really think so?" And I said, "Yeah, I really think so." It was at this point around 20 badass guys all stood up. What is the moral to this story? The street teaches you many lessons very quickly. Be very, very careful. We are now on week 6 of the yellow belt, and we should be starting to get pretty familiar with the street training. By constantly training the simple things that we wish to develop, we will no doubtedly arrive at the answers of which we are searching for. If you are watching these training classes, it's probably because you have been looking for something to fulfill your quest to find answers. You may have researched many other arts and checked out KFM due to its curiosity factor. One thing that KFM is very clear about is the fact that things are in constant evolution. Nothing ever stands still for very long. Does KFM have all the answers? No. But we do have a very interesting angle on the development process. This development process has come about as a consequence of life, not an invention, just a simple reflection of how things are. When we can see things for what they really are, it helps us to eliminate the things that are not beneficial to our case. Basic like effective business management systems. They're designed to maximise productivity. It means we just get a lot more done and achieve our goals much quicker if we know exactly what we're trying to do. As we have mentioned before, one of the primal reactions when we are receiving big style is to try and shut the onslaught down by grabbing hold. Because grabbing is a very instinctive reaction, it is another massive area of study for KFM, as our objective is to cultivate primal instinct. This is a very interesting subject, as it seems totally obvious. Street fights are usually won as a result of pure instinctive action-reaction, and not because we know some cool techniques. All techniques are like a gun. They have the potential to kill you, but only the potential. Because as with a gun, if you don't know how to use and operate it properly, plus have the ability to use it in a dynamic reactive way, then it has no purpose at all. Continuing on with the subject of instinct, if we observe predatory animals from nature, how many of them go down to the local dojo 3 nights a week and learn how to fight properly? None. Stupid analogy, eh? But very true. Blood-driven instinct lives in the blood, not in the techniques that we use to develop specific body mechanics. Without the focus on developing the instinct, our quest will be fruitless. And finally, to finish on the subject of instinct, understanding how to achieve anything in life is a skill. A successful businessman has a very clear and focused objective, and he also knows the correct ingredients needed to achieve the desired results. Developing our fighting abilities is no different. If we know what ingredients are needed to develop a predatory fighter before we even start, then we're already more than halfway there, because setting off in the right direction generally means we will arrive at our desired destination.
Casa del guerrero, cuchara de palo, palo. Ay, que dejo mi pared, que buen tano. Que casa del guerrero, prima mía, cuchara de palo. Que dejo mi pared, que buen tano. Cacho marcha a la ventana para dedicarme los lunares. Cacho marcha a la ventana para dedicarme los lunares. Tú querías que me pintado de lo mío natural. Sácala, 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 sácala. mamá la luna, primita